My name is Melissa Harper. I'm now 32 years old and a single mother to my beautiful 1-year-old daughter, Emma. Life is nothing like I envisioned it would be, but in some aspects, it's better. A little over a year ago, I was completely caught off guard by a betrayal that flipped my world upside down, forcing me to figure out how to move forward while preparing to welcome my baby girl. In those initial weeks after John left, I felt like I was drowning. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face and heard his voice uttering those cruel words. "I'm not attracted to you anymore, Melissa. Look at you. You've let yourself go." Those words echoed in my mind, cutting deeper with each recollection. And Julia, my supposed best friend, didn't even have the courage to meet my gaze. I never confronted her. I saw no reason to. I simply removed her from my life as if she had never existed. I struggled through the remainder of my pregnancy alone, both emotionally and financially. John didn't just abandon me, he also deserted Emma. Not a single text, not a penny to help. My mother tried her best to support me, but I could tell it broke her heart to see me in such a state. I put on a brave face for everyone, but at night, when the house was quiet, I would cry until I was too exhausted to stay awake. The unveiling truth it all began when my friend Karen appeared at my door, her face pale and her expression uneasy. I immediately sensed something was wrong. "Melissa, I need to talk to you," she said as she stepped inside. She hesitated for a moment, as if searching for the right words. "I saw John today with Julia. They were leaving a hotel together." I didn't want to believe it, but they kissed right there in the hallway. My stomach lurched. For a moment, I couldn't process what she was saying. John, my husband, and Julia, my best friend. My heart pounded as the shock quickly turned to anger. I barraged Karen with every question that flooded my mind. "Where? When? Are you sure?" But deep down, I already knew she wouldn't lie about something like this. It was as if my world had been knocked off its axis, and I couldn't regain my balance. "What? Do you mean a hotel? Why would you be in a hotel? Are you sure?" "This is a serious accusation," I asked, my voice trembling, hoping for some explanation that would make it all disappear. Karen nodded solemnly, her eyes filled with pity and regret. "My cousins were visiting, staying at that hotel. I was on my way to their room when I saw them. Melissa, I know what I saw. They didn't see me, but they were coming out of a room together. They kissed right there in the hallway." She paused, her voice softening. "I'm so sorry, but you needed to know." Hearing her repeat it so matter-of-factly felt like a physical blow. My chest tightened and tears stung my eyes as the reality of it all began to sink in. I sank onto the couch, unable to catch my breath. My world was crumbling right there in my living room. The man I had trusted, the man I was building a family with, had been secretly involved with my best friend, and Julia. She'd been in my life for years. The person I relied on when things got tough. How could they do this to me? How could they betray me like this, especially now when I was carrying our child? A torrent of emotions crashed over me. Anger, humiliation, heartbreak, all tangled in an unbreakable knot. Every memory, every promise, every plan we'd made together suddenly felt like a cruel joke. I couldn't stop myself from wondering, had I been oblivious? Was there something I had overlooked? Or was I simply that easy to cast aside? The weight of it all pressed down on me, and for the first time in my life, I truly felt shattered. The confrontation that night. I waited for John to come home, my stomach tied in knots and my heart thumping, when I heard his car in the driveway. A surge of both anger and dread washed over me. He walked in as if it were any other day, placing his keys on the counter and loosening his tie. I didn't even let him get past the kitchen. "How long has it been, John?" I asked, my voice trembling but steady. He looked up, confused, then his expression hardened. "What are you talking about?" he said, feigning ignorance. "Don't play games with me," I snapped. "Karen saw you at the hotel with Julia. Now tell me the truth." His face twisted into a scowl, and he scoffed. "Karen, that woman's crazy. She probably misunderstood something." "Melissa, you're letting your imagination run wild. There's nothing going on." But his tone was defensive, and his refusal to meet my eyes told me all I needed to know. I clenched my fists, feeling my anger intensify with every word he uttered. "Don't you dare lie to me, John," I shouted, my voice cracking. "Karen isn't crazy, and you know it. She saw you with Julia leaving a hotel room. She saw you kiss her. So don't stand there and insult my intelligence." He threw his hands up in frustration, pacing the room as if he were the aggrieved party. "Melissa, you're blowing this out of proportion," he snapped. "Karen probably saw something innocent and twisted it in her head. Julia and I are just friends, that's all." But his excuses sounded pathetic, and the more he spoke, the more I could see the guilt plastered across his face. It was as if he was trying to talk himself out of a hole he had already dug. As he continued to spew his excuses, I felt a sudden flutter in my stomach. "Emma," she moved, as if reminding me of her presence, a tiny life depending on me amidst all this chaos. For a second, the anger was replaced by a wave of sadness so heavy it nearly crushed me. How could he do this to us? To her? I instinctively placed my hand on my belly, trying to steady myself. "Do you even care about us, John?" I asked, my voice quieter but laced with heartbreak. "Do you care about your daughter? She's in here, and she can feel me falling apart because of you." His eyes flicked to my belly for a brief moment, but instead of softening, his face remained cold and unreadable. "This isn't about the baby," he said flatly. "Don't make this more dramatic than it needs to be." It was in that moment I knew I was truly on my own. I felt tears welling up, but I refused to let them fall in front of him. "More dramatic," I repeated, my voice trembling with disbelief. "I'm 6 months pregnant, John. 6 months, and you're telling me it's not dramatic that you're sneaking around with my best friend, that you've destroyed our family before our daughter even has a chance to be born?" My voice rose with every word, my heartbreak transforming into a fiery rage I could no longer suppress. John sighed as if he were the one being inconvenienced. "Melissa, you're blowing this out of proportion," he said, shaking his head. "Julia and it just happened, okay? I can't help how I feel. Things haven't been the same between us for a while. And honestly, look at yourself. You've changed." He gestured toward me, his words dripping with contempt. "I'm not attracted to you anymore, Melissa. I'm sorry, but it's the truth." John scoffed, shaking his head as if I were wasting his time. "God, Melissa, Do you even hear yourself? He snapped, his voice ice cold. You've been nothing but a whiny, overgrown baby ever since you got pregnant. Every day, it's something, your back hurts. Your feet are swollen, you're tired. I get it, you're pregnant, but you act like you're the first woman in the world to have a kid. It's pathetic. He looked me up and down, his expression twisting into disgust. And don't even get me started on how you look, he said, his voice dropping to a cruel sneer. Your mass is, honestly, Melissa, you're starting to look like a damn elephant waddling around here. It's embarrassing. You don't even try to look decent anymore. It's just sweatpants and your greasy hair tied up in that ugly bun. Julia, she's gorgeous. She actually takes care of herself, and she's fun to be around. You're just a moody, needy mess, and I'm tired of pretending otherwise. He stared at me, his words hanging in the air like poison, and I felt my entire body go numb. I stood there, frozen, unable to find the words. How could he be so cruel? I had braced myself for denial, for excuses, but not for this. The man who had once promised to love me, who I thought was my partner, was standing in front of me, tearing me apart piece by piece. It wasn't enough that he had betrayed me, that he had thrown away our marriage and our family for my best friend. Now he was humiliating me, stripping away every last bit of dignity I had left. My throat tightened, and I felt the sting of tears in my eyes, but I refused to cry in front of him. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction. You don't even care, I managed to choke out, my voice barely a whisper. Not about me, not about Emma, not about anything we built together. He just shrugged, his expression cold and indifferent. I've moved on. Melissa, he said flatly, maybe you should too. His words hit me like a slap, and I realized in that moment that the man I once loved no longer existed.